Hi, so let's talk about Essay 2. Essay 2 is a literary analysis paper. The most common type of essay you're going to write in college is some kind of analysis. That basically means that you're given something, a process, a piece of literature or reading, something like that, an issue, and by analyzing it, that means you break it down into its smallest parts to understand what those parts are and how they work together to form the whole. And so then you're going to make some kind of commentary about either some of those parts, one of those parts, or how they work together, or something like that, right? So for literature, what we're doing is we're looking at some kind of story or poem. In this case, we're looking at this Shooting an Elephant essay by Orwell. And in literary analysis, we're breaking it down, looking at the different themes, conflicts, setting, all of those literature aspects, and trying to figure out why. What does it mean? What are these images adding up to? What is our takeaway when we get through with this story, right? We're going to look at a handout called Analyzing and Interpreting Stories to kind of look at some of these different ways that you can break down a story and look at it and try to come up with what was the author intending, or what can we take from this. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the author intended. All that matters is what are we understanding or seeing when we read this story. And so for this case, we're looking at Orwell's reading. Shooting an Elephant. So let's look at an actual handout for the essay. Oops, sorry. Let me go to the right screen. So you can see that your essay prompt right there in the box is argue what you believe the meaning is in shooting an elephant. Provide 3 supporting reasons with cited examples from the story to support your position. So, when you read this, what do you think is important? And it could be a variety of things. And when we talk about this essay and we look at possible themes and all that, you're going to see you have a lot of different possibilities here in what you take from it. There's very little wrong or right here. Interpretation is, what do you see in it and how can you justify that interpretation? And that's why you have to have those examples, right? You got to give us 3 reasons to support your claim that this is what, or this is one meaning from this story. And then you support each of those reasons by walking us through your reasoning, explaining it, giving us proof from the story and citing those in MLA style, and then telling us then how does all of this work together to create the meaning that you see. And I've given you several examples along the way to help you out, and we'll look at some of those, right? So in terms of the basic requirements, you can see here, again, it's due in Brightspace. You'll see the deadline in Brightspace on the calendar. There are some required readings and some supplemental readings that are all in the module. Again, you can go over here to Brightspace so you can see there is handouts and examples. This is where you're going to find all of the handouts that you need for this, as well as some supplemental things that might help you understand what's going on. This needs to be, it's 400 points like all of your other major writing assignments. This is one of the required writing assignments. If you do not turn this in, then you cannot pass the class. It is 1,000 words or more. That's always the minimum right there when I give you a word count. And the works cited page does not count as part of the word count. That's what you are actually writing in your essay. It can be longer than that, but I think that for this paper, 4 to 6 pages is where you're looking at here. I think maybe 1,000 might be about 3.5, 3.25. But again, I'd say aim for 4. Don't go over 6. If you go over 6, you're probably doing way too much work for this paper. For your conventions, it's the same as everything. You can look in your Master Guide to Academic Essays. We're doing that same structure that we followed with the first essay, the three-part intro, three body paragraphs, and conclusion. It has to meet college level standards of diction, tone, style, and academic English. Those are things we've been practicing with those mind tap quizzes. And again, by the time I get your finished paper, it needs to show some reflective revision, editing, and proofreading, right? You don't need to just whip something out and give me your first draft. You need to go back and make it stronger, look for errors, look for ways to use better word choices, those kind of things, right? And again, we're using MLA 8 rules. The only thing you're required to cite from is the actual shooting an elephant story itself. But I have provided some supplemental readings that kind of give you some definitions and all of that. So when we actually look at that packet, I'll point out what's the supplemental stuff and how you cite it differently than the Orwell. You will see, though, that at the end of that Orwell handout, there is a works cited entry that gives you the works cited for the Orwell. So there's no reason why anyone should get that wrong. All you have to do is go to that page and replicate what you see there. All right. And then again, we're using proper MLA 8 style for the paper. These are all the things that you practiced in that MLA practice assignment. So you don't have to worry about learning all those things while you're trying to write the essay. All right. Some examples of how I think you should start. First time you should read the story to just familiarize yourself with it. Kind of get it under your belt, be able to talk about it in terms of the who, what, why, when, where, and how. Understand what's happening in each of the scenes and be able to maybe say it in your own way, right? Second time, go back and kind of look for possible themes. All right. And in fact, let me skip down. I've got this one, but then I have this reading for meaning section that actually is maybe a little bit more descriptive here. First time, read to familiarize. What's going on? Who is acting here? What's the plot? Second time, read to be able to summarize and paraphrase. So as you're reading each section, stop and say, okay, if I had to explain that in my own words, how would I say this, right? And remember, summarize is just boiling it down to its essence. So paraphrasing is kind of a line-by-line translation of the original into your own language. So it's about the same length. Third thing,